some is this shit.
In my Eminem iceberg video, I mentioned how I never thought I would make more Eminem videos after my Music to Be Murdered by Redux, but honestly I was wrong, and I realized there's still a lot to talk about. Eminem videos are bittersweet because I enjoy engaging in fun conversation with normal people who can have differing opinions on music, but on the other hand, a lot of Eminem fans want to unalive me, to say the least. In my most humble opinion, I like to think that I'm the most positive Eminem reviewer on YouTube without dick riding. Like, you can find people who constantly hate on Marshall, which I think is the slight majority, find people who will say that everything is great and anyone who dislikes it is too stupid to understand it, and then you have me, someone who can enjoy the music, understand context, but still point out how dated some of it is. If I see one more person tell me, it's for shock value, you're supposed to find it crazy, Eminem isn't homophobic, you're just too liberal snowflake, yours aren't bad, I'm gay and I love Why will no one ever love me? Those comments are the reason I don't engage with my audience anymore. I don't have an agenda, dummy, I just like when music is good. So for the rest of us normal people, let's talk about this video. Every Eminem diss track ranked. While Eminem is notorious for throwing shots at other artists, he only has around 20 songs dedicated to dissing one person or multiple people. I don't know why I say only like that's a small amount, that's a lot of fucking diss tracks, holy shit. There are some conditions for what qualifies as a diss track. Songs like Killshot, Fall, and Hailie's Revenge are included because they are Eminem songs focused on attacking one person or multiple people. Songs like Bang, Lord Above, and No Favors don't count because they're features and because Eminem's verses aren't solely dedicated to dissing one person or multiple people, just some stray lines and bars doing so. The same goes for songs like I Will, Get You Mad, and Mosh. The individual disses in a larger song not about dissing, they don't count. That still leaves us with a hefty number of songs. Before we get started, I want to give some shoutouts to songs that kind of just missed the cut from the list because they are loaded with diss tracks but are not full diss tracks. First off, Bagpipes from Baghdad. I love how M just calls Mariah Carey an alcoholic. That's honestly really fucking funny. Kim is here too because it's not really a diss track, more of a story. I honestly don't have much to say about this one. I wanted to put it here so people don't think I forgot about it. I dove into my personal feelings on this song in my Eminem album ranking, so if you're interested in that, you can check it out. Another thing I rather mention now, opposed to mentioning it in almost every entry, the slurs don't count as disses. Because most of these are from the early 2000s, there are so many quote-unquote disses where the punchline is just calling someone gay. You're gay! Whether that's literally calling them gay or calling them a slur, which is just bad songwriting. A lot of people call me out for being overly sensitive and sometimes hypocritical, and I'll give you that only because MMLP is my favorite Eminem album despite some of its disgusting language. But I think we can all agree that M has crafted some crazy good disses with extremely clever wordplay and creative jokes, so these playground insults only come across as dated and lazy in comparison. And I think that's fair. If you don't agree, dislike the video, leave a hateful comment if you already haven't. Let's buckle up, folks, and let's just see how good one of the best battle rappers really is. Big Weenie is probably the only bad diss track on this list. Everything else is great. We're literally jumping from a D tier to a B tier after this. So yeah, I don't really care for this song. It's aimed at Benzino, and considering just how many songs Eminem made about him, this one is easily the weakest. He doesn't even say his name in it, unlike the others. He keeps mentioning how jealous Benzino is of him. There aren't many punchlines or clever wordplay, and everything is very straightforward and lame. The concept in itself isn't even bad. We've seen Eminem make zany things like this work on songs like Cannabitch and The Conspiracy, but it doesn't seem to have much of a point here. M has said that towards the end of recording Encore, he would go to the studio drugged up and goof around, so it makes sense that this song was one of those results. I guess it has some funny moments, like when he says, "You look like, I sound like," singing about weenies. At least he's self-aware. Okay, let's move on.
Come. I mean, I knew you would come, but you've come.
I have come.
Hail Mary is weird. It's not bad. M has some clever lines, and hearing him take on this iconic instrumental is cool, but that Busta Rhymes verse is trash. Don't fight me on this. His flow is all over the place. The outro is so cringeworthy when he's like, "I'ma return back to my regular self." Ugh, he's just like, ugh. He says that like he just delivered the vilest verse ever. Yeah, I don't really like it, but 50 Cent's verse, that's pretty good. His flow is fun. I like these lyrics a lot.
Never realized the press salad, bitch niggas is wasted. Institutionalize my bitches, bring me products by the bundle. Hustle hard for myself. See you, that motherfucker. We ballin'.
M has some good lines, but he has the shortest verse on the song, which is unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Not much to say about this one, to be honest. It doesn't come close to the best Ja Rule diss track.
No. Wait.
Are we done with the weird entries? Oh, thank God, now we can get to the good songs. The third and final installment in the Invasion series from M and Green Lantern is the weakest in my opinion, but it's definitely not bad. M's fast and frantic flow over this fun beat is fantastic. I really missed the Green Lantern collabs, man. I'm sure you already know this track was aimed at Benzino and does a much better job at dissing him than Big Weenie. All Benzino really had to use against M was his leaked Foolish Pride song, which doesn't exactly paint M in the most accepting light, which is nothing new. Although, Eminem has not only apologized and acknowledged the racist nature of that song, but also dedicated a whole song to talking about it and taking accountability. And he basically says that again on Armageddon.
Oh, sorry, yo, so sorry, whoa. But that was a long time ago when I was just Joe Schmo rapping in Joe Blow's basement. I apologize for it before, so either accept it or you don't, and let's move on.
I don't think any specific diss here is anything super special, but by this point, M has already said everything about Benzino that there is to say. Not an amazing diss track, but a good one nonetheless.
What you say? What you say?
I said, whoever threw that paper, your mom's a hoe.
This Eminem show cut with Dr. Dre has one of the hardest beats these guys have ever rapped on together. This song is a diss to Jermaine Dupri, Cannabis, and The Source magazine. It was one of M's first diss tracks against The Source, which later turned into the Benzino beef. This song is also about Dr. Dre, making it clear he hasn't left rap yet, and people should maintain their respect for him. I've always loved this line where Dre says,
And don't think I don't read the little interviews and see what you're saying. I'm a giant, and I ain't gotta move till I'm broke. When I see you, I'ma step on you and not even know it.
In a 2001 interview for XXL, Jermaine Dupri said, "Ain't nobody in the industry that could do what I do. Not Dre, not Timbaland, nobody." This obviously pissed Dre off as he disses him all throughout this song, and even mentions the slight controversies for him producing for child performers like Chris Cross and Lil Bow Wow, saying he could sell 80 million records without relying on children. M takes shots at Cannabis and The Source as well, and they even give Timbaland a little part at the end to tell Jermaine Dupri to suck it.
He's pulling his cock out!
This song is really good. It's really grand and in your face, which is very appropriate for these artists. Next, a more recent track.
This filter on TikTok shows who you look like.
Yeah. It's gonna be Brad Pitt. It's Machine Gun Kelly? What the fuck? I do not look like her.
Not Alike is one of the diss tracks on Kamikaze, taking aim at mumble rappers, but mainly Machine Gun Kelly, who isn't a mumble rapper, but honestly might be better if he was. This song also works as somewhat of a parody, with the Tay Keith beat that is very similar to Drake and Blackboy JB's Look Alive, and the hook being similar to the Migos' Bad and Bougie flow. Royce takes the first verse and doesn't diss anyone in specific, but he has some lines about rappers drinking lean, selling their quote cock and butt for a follow or a couple of dollars, and saying their music sounds like Dr. Seuss inspired it. M starts the second verse mocking MGK's credibility, saying he's a wannabe gangster, saying he's never even been charged with connection to battery. That fucking line where he says, "This bar is over your head, so you better have arms if you're gonna pull up," that is fucking amazing. The best disses on this track come right before the beat switch.
But next time you don't gotta use Tech 9 if you wanna come at me with a submachine gun.
What? This whole verse is filled with crazy good wordplay. It would be wrong to not list them all.
But you already know who the fuck you are, Kelly.
MGK at 22 was calling Hailie hot when she was only 16.
Moving pretty quick there. Why don't you have a seat right over there?
Every son doesn't put the time ready about the sound off like a fucking guy to me, God, let me put a fucking silence on this room. There's ready one very corn balls to get out to me.
The fucking gun wordplay.
Only time you ever say I lost every fucking mouth, very coffee.
That line is so funny, dude. If it took this song to get us the monstrosity that is Rap Devil, to get us Killshot, I'm so okay with it. We still have a lot of songs to go. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
So in my Eminem iceberg, I mentioned how I think Eminem's Storm freestyle is pretty good.
That's an awfully hot coffee pot.
At least for the most part. I actually got a comment on that video that said the only reason I like it is because it, quote, confirms my political beliefs, which is honestly such a laughable take. I love when people say that a piece of media like a song is bad from a unbiased perspective. It gives the same energy as this song is objectively bad. To quote my father Cosmonaut, let's do an objective review of The Storm.
The Storm is a freestyle by Eminem. The freestyle is about 45th President of the United States Donald J. Trump. Royce the 5'9" is not featured on this song.
You see what I mean? You have every right to not like this freestyle, but don't act like because you don't like it, it's the epitome of bad music. Anyway, in my opinion, The Storm is pretty good. It's the only acapella on this list, and it takes aim at a former president. This isn't the first time M has taken shots at a president, but it is definitely the most vicious attack. Those opening lines are infamous and stupid, yeah, but a lot of what M goes on to say is often forgotten.
But we better give Obama props, cause what we got in office now's a kamikaze that'll probably cause a nuclear holocaust. And while the drama pops and he waits for shit to quiet down, he'll just gas his plane up and fly around till the bombing stops.
That's incredible. Another great line is this one.
Plus he gets an enormous reaction when he attacks the NFL, so we focus on that instead of talking Puerto Rico with gun reform from Nevada. All these horrible tragedies and he's bored and would rather cause a twist storm with the Packers.
My favorite part is easily.
He says you're spitting in the face of vets who fought for us, you bastards! Unless you're a POW who's tortured and battered cause to him you're zeros cause he don't like his war heroes captured.
Fuck your life, that's so good! M has his controversial lines at the end where he draws a line in the sand between him and the past administration's supporters, which have been highly criticized and called hypocritical. Although he takes a new approach with these lines on The Ringer that clear up any confusion. This is a great freestyle. If you disagree, that is fine, but if you leave me an essay, I'm not reading it.
We now return to Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends on Cartoon Network Invaded.
Next up, we have the first installment in the Invasion series, which serves as a general warning against anyone who would try to beef with M. Although it was released while M and Shady Records were beefing with Benzino and Ja Rule, so it can be interpreted as directed at them. I've always really liked this beat, it's very Slim Shady. I also like a lot of the wacky flows. We the realest level is one. This one isn't as full as disses as some of the other songs because of its vague nature, but there are still some funny lines. I like when he says,
Y'all tickle me pink, I think I just rather have pink tickle me.
That ending line is really funny too with,
Still watch what you say to me, punk, cause I'm on probation in less than 6 months.
There's not much to this track, but it's a lot of fun and I think it does a good job at being a pretty general warning shot. It's got fun flows, funny bars, and a cool beat, but there is a song that's pretty similar to this one, but better.
You see, the whole Brawltons thing is a conspiracy. Kermither and Rena-chan were pandering to prepubescent newgrounders in order to get the front page.
The second installment in the Invasion series is The Conspiracy, and I think this one is the best out of all three. The beat is really synthy, the jokes are funnier, and I like a lot of the wordplay. The first few lines of this song start with M wiping his ass with the Source magazine, which is hilarious. He throws a shot at Norah Jones, and I don't know why. She did very well at the 2003 Grammys, and maybe M thought she wasn't deserving? I don't know, leave her alone.
Get away from her!
M even takes a small dig at Royce the 5'9" with the lines,
Rhinestones are so nice, they shine so bright, especially at night after a hit of ecstasy, ain't that right? Whoa!
and stops himself before saying his name. My favorite part of the song are the ones that follow where he says,
Yeah, me ass with the yo beam and ass with the hand Nelly, hand Miss the dance, and goddamn, it's all the plan devised by the man, it's a conspiracy. Against fake shit and anybody who can't make hits or ain't no lyrically. The fuck what to heard and what to read about, we ain't going back, baby, look at the sun and bleed it out.
It's a fun little diss, and definitely my favorite of the Invasion tracks.
What happened? I thought you were gonna kill yourself. I tried.
This song is really fucking funny. I genuinely think this song is just so over the top in some places that you can't help but laugh. And I mean that in a good way. M and D12 reference Whitey Ford's heart attack 12 times, and it makes me laugh so hard, and I don't know why. I like Hit 'Em Up more than Quitter, but we'll start with Quitter since it's the first song of the pair. So, this is a diss track to Everlast of House of Pain, and it was a response to the song Whitey's Revenge. M talks about Everlast being hurt that Eminem ignored him in Puerto Rico, but in reality, M just didn't notice. The male ego is something to be studied. I love the third verse where he's like,
If you never see Everlast, whoop his ass, hit him with sticks, bricks, rocks, throw shit at him.
My favorite part about Hit 'Em Up is that there's just no Bizarre. I'm not kidding, I've always thought Bizarre was such an odd inclusion in this otherwise supergroup. Anyway, each D12 member respectively gets a couple bars each, and I find it funny that M calls Everlast a hunky. That's such an odd word. Best D12 verse though is Swifties. I love those last lines.
Keep the rest of my better lock and block your door, cause we hit 'em up like motherfucking Tupac Shakur.
This song just seems so fun to make, and those are the best kind of Eminem diss tracks, where you can really feel the aggression but also the comedy in the same breath.
Die! Die! Die!
This is another track that's so petty it's funny, and I love it. Every verse on this song is so good, perfect in the terms of length and amazing flows, especially DMX. This is, of course, another Ja Rule Benzino track, and M starts his verse by saying, "You will never agree with me, so the only rational solution is your demise." The instrumental is really sick. The pipe organ, the brass elements are awesome. The random gunshots throughout the song are hilarious. Obi Trice has a short verse where he reiterates what M was saying, basically just, this guy is not a gangster. He sits behind his desk all day begging artists for promo. DMX came through with a great flow and ad-libs and has really fun disses towards Ja Rule. It's a song that gets straight to the point, and I love that. The hook will forever be the hardest and funniest thing ever. I don't know what's so funny about some guy wishing death upon someone else in a song like this, but it gets a laugh out of me every time.
Everyone, we have an announcement to make. Stop bullying!
Bully is an interesting track because it takes a much more serious tone as opposed to some of the other songs we reviewed thus far. M comes across as genuinely upset and annoyed on this song. The dark piano beat, the easy flows, the disses that aren't so much disses but more assessments. Statements about Benzino. He says that he's delusional, he's jealous of him, so much that he wants to physically harm him. M calls him a schoolyard bully because any attempt that he's made to take shots at M have come off as childish. You ain't no motherfucking bully, nothing you say hurts me at all. The second verse continues this anger, now more directed at Ja Rule. Again, M seems really annoyed at the whole situation, how cowardly they all are acting. M ends this song by basically telling Benzino and Ja Rule to back off before the beef escalates to violence, and possibly somebody getting hurt or killed. The tone of this track is very, very different from the others, but that's what differentiates it from the rest.
Ring, ring, hello? Ring, ring, hello? Ring, ring.
You have a bad connection!
After you get past that cringe-ass intro, the ringer goes so hard. It's non-stop bars, no hooks, no breaks, M just going absolutely insane over this Illa beat. This song has Eminem critiquing the state of hip-hop in 2018, calling out other rappers like Lil Xan, Lil Pump, and even people who didn't warrant a diss at all, like Vince Staples, 21 Savage, and Lil Yachty. Come on, M, why'd they have to get caught in the crossfire? The beginning of this song is great. M really comes with the facts about other artists mentioning him to get views, but when he responds, it only gives them more popularity and makes him look bitter. I absolutely love this flow.
And I'm harder on myself than you could ever be, regardless what I'll never be, as long as I'll ever be as honest, even when I'm gonna say I'm part of, even when I hit my 40s like a fucking alcoholic with a bottle full of malt liquor, but I couldn't bottle this any longer, the fact that I know that I'm gonna hit my bottom if I don't pull myself from the jaws to the feet, and rise to my feet.
I'm always so weak when he called Charlemagne colorblind. But for real though, like what do you mean the thing isn't orange? But the end of the song is when the best flow comes in.
I'm not done, right? Cause I feel like the beast of burden. That line in the sand, was it even worth it? Cause the way I see people turn is making it seem worthless. It's starting to defeat the purpose.
I absolutely love the whole part about M talking about the Secret Service showing up to his studio, and I adore these lines.
Cause Agent Orange just sent the Secret Service to meet in person to see if I really think of hurting him or ask if I'm linked to terrorists. I said only when it comes to ink and lyricism.
That is incredible! The song is fantastic and served as the perfect intro to Kamikaze.
Girl! You talk to her. You talk to her, dude.
Girls is probably the best song on Devil's Night. No disrespect to D12, but this song is really fucking good. And as a diss, this track is what I consider to be the best dissing. Ironically, it's full of name-calling, with the title itself being a dumb, dated insult. However, M really does on this song call out Limp Bizkit for their shitty and embarrassing behavior. One might say, accountability, motherfucker. Calling out DJ Lethal for originally planning to appear on Quitter, then backing out and defending Whitey Ford. A bitch move. The chorus serves really to call Limp Bizkit a bunch of cowards.
Is this how you face me, coward?
They were all bark and no bite, and Eminem just doesn't respect that. He mentions how Fred Durst just copies him and clearly tries to imitate him. This song has two lengthy verses, with M being his confident self and really digging into Limp Bizkit. But it's like M says in the outro, if you don't mean it, don't say it. It's a shame that streaming has unintentionally killed hidden tracks, cause like, I can imagine the surprise this must have been for people in 2001. Absolutely incredible.
Mom! Mommy! Mommy!
Mama! 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 Ma! Ma! Ma!
So Cleanin Out My Closet is a tricky song to cover. It's kind of a diss track, kind of a regular song. Most people seem to count this as an Eminem diss track, so we're gonna count it here too. This song has the same kind of gritty reality like Girls. There aren't many disses outside of name calling, mostly just recalling traumatic events in Marshall's life involving his mother. The first verse doesn't really have any disses, but we make our way to the chorus, we get those iconic lines. Eminem is letting all his feelings out. The metaphor cleaning out my closet has a double meaning. He's finally going to leave his mom in peace because he's done with her and he's done with the abuse. These sentences become ironic because the song is meant to hurt his mom and he does want to make her cry. In the second verse, he speaks about his father leaving before he was even a year old and his troubled relationship with Kim. The third verse is really where the song becomes about his mother. Watching her take pills daily, accusing him of stealing from her, and believing that she suffered from Munchausen syndrome by proxy. A mental disorder where a caregiver, usually a mother, harms their child or describes non-existent symptoms in order to get sympathy and attention. Eminem even says Hailie wouldn't attend her funeral. The most interesting part to one of the topics in this song is the defamation lawsuit from Eminem's mom asking for $10 million. In her 2008 autobiography, My Son Marshall, My Son Eminem, his mother claims she wasn't allowed to respond in public over the lawsuit, but she was approached to put out her own CD to defend herself via music. She had recorded an open letter to her son titled Set the Record Straight. The CD mocked and criticized Eminem, while her mother denied responsibility for any of the issues or their strained relationship. She publicly shamed him and painted herself as an innocent victim. Eminem did not appreciate this. Likewise, Debbie didn't appreciate the outcome of her lawsuit. The $10 million lawsuit was settled for $25,000, with the judge ordering a little over $23,000 to go to her former attorney, whom she fired during the case, leaving her with not even $2,000. With the lawsuit settled, Eminem was able to address the situation publicly, hence this song. Nowadays, M seems to resent this song, making mention of it on headlights. After all that, the two seem to have a stable relationship now.
Hey, you're just mad because I'll be able to do something with my fucking guitar in hands that you'll never be able to achieve in your entire life, kid. So yeah, you're gay.
I Remember is hilarious because it basically parodies Everlast's sound at the time with the dramatic guitar and singing. Eminem was mocking him with the presentation alone. I also love that this song is framed as some memoriam like Everlast is dead or something. The first and second verses are sung in short and just have some funny lines, but the third verse is where the song picks up. M switches back to rapping and just calls Everlast out for being a jealous dick.
You're such a dick!
I really enjoy the lines about Eminem being better at guitar even though he's never played. My favorite aspect, as I mentioned, is the parody. I think that was really funny and a creative choice on M's part. There's not too much to say about this one, but I enjoy it, I think it's funny, and Everlast really got some of the funniest Eminem diss tracks.
Smoke weed every day.
The beat on this song keeps the dumbest smile on my face for the entirety of the track. It's so zany and stupid, yet it fits so well. Cannabitch is obviously about Cannabis, who M was beefing with for some time, and this diss track really tells more of a story. Painting Cannabis as this obsessed fan that Eminem and Dr. Dre need to kill. Like, how the fuck did they come up with this shit, man? The third verse is hilarious. They run over Jermaine Dupri with their car, they beat the shit out of Cannabis until he escapes. It really is just so funny. Like I mentioned, the beat is so whack, I actually love it. M busts out some fun flows too with the lines like,
"The bitch that told me you were coming to get me. The six that is the bomb threat in our building. This crazy motherfucker's really trying to kill me."
It's a hilarious track that I love to revisit.
Oh no, I hope I don't fall. No.
Fall is one of my favorite Eminem diss tracks ever. The beat, the flows, the disses, it's all around a great track. M throws shots at every one of his critics and pulls no punches. A couple bars in, telling Charlemagne that if his response is too late, it's because that's how long it takes for Hit to get back to him. And the Hunger Games lyrics are fire, dude.
Somebody tell Button before I stab, he better fasten it, or have his body back and get the closest thing he's had to hit the second beat.
Holy shit. Nobody is fucking safe. DJ Academics gets caught in the crossfire. The Tyler and Earl disses still make me sad because I love them, but I think it's hilarious how Tyler reacted to getting dissed.
And he dissed me on his last album. And I remember hearing it.
Why did he?
Cause I keep being vocal about shit that I don't like.
The third verse is where everything comes together. Eminem demands his respect in hip-hop. He's earned his spot at the top, and he refuses to let anyone take that away from him. Not Pitchfork, not the Grammys, not Fantano, not Drewsome. Wait, what? Bruh, this fucking flow.
But you would think I'm carrying an Oxford dictionary in my pocket, how I'm burying these artists on a scale of 30 minus plus is various. As hardly and what's scary is you probably can compare me to your car, cause I'm just barely getting started.
Ending the song with those Lord Jamar disses is incredible. I think the Lord Jamar lines on I Will are better, but these served as a nice prelude to that. I absolutely adore this song. It was my most listened to song of 2018.
You listen to your own music?
Yes, sir!
So no head?
What an underrated fucking gem. I could not be happier that this song was finally put on streaming for the Eminem Show's 20th anniversary. I really miss posse cuts like this. The shout outs, the beat, it is such a product of its time and I cannot get enough of it. That M verse literally sets the tone. M doesn't seem too concerned about Ja Rule or any of Murder Inc. for that matter. Those fucking lines.
And I don't even care because I don't got to. Got undercover cops that'll legally pop you.
That is so fucking hard. He calls him a drug addict, which is hypocritical, but it doesn't make it not funny. While M has the best verse, Tony Yayo and Lloyd Banks deliver some of the hardest fucking bars, and that 50 hook is great. You couldn't son me if my father helped you. What? He calls him Stuart Little.
Oh, you ain't shook knife. You shook knife. I put my knife in your windpipe and bring your turnpike.
That is insane. Lloyd Banks comes in fucking swinging with that incredible flow. He literally makes fun of Ja for not getting shot. That is so sad and so funny. What? He's clowned for not getting shot. This song is amazing. When I was on vacation last August, I listened to it probably every day. It is absolutely incredible.
Well, you won't think it's funny when you're trapped in here forever while I'm waging my long-awaited revenge on Mung Dal.
One thing I have never realized until recently is that Eminem does not have a verse on Hailie's Revenge, and I think that just shows how willing his friends were to help him out. The best members of D12 and Obi Trice absolutely destroy Ja Rule on this song. Again, the beat is amazing. Each Shady member sounds like they all have personal shit to settle with Ja. From those opening lines, Bring Daddy is Oscar, we're gonna shove it up Ja Rule's ass. Swift's first lines?
I'm about to get rid of some hoes. It's simple. I quit the murder, eat with late night, talking about a pimp.
Standing ovation, dude. That's amazing. Claiming you a murderer and you spelt it wrong. I'm crying. Obi Trice comes in with killer flows and rhyme schemes. Kaniva calls Benzino a banana with braids and clothes on. Bruh. Mr. Porter calls him a rap cookie monster. I also love his delivery on vagina. Vagina! Eminem only does the hook here, yet it's still his song. He really just had his friends air out all their shit, and I think they made a hard-ass song.
I'm saucing on you.
Hi, I'm Kobe Sucks, and Drew was cool enough to invite me to discuss one of Eminem's diss tracks for his video. I told him I'm very interested in getting free publicity, so let's just get into it. The next diss on this list comes from his long-term beef with Benzino. The beef between Benzino, Eminem, and their respective camps may have just been Eminem's most heated, with many different diss tracks being released from both sides. It all started with the Source magazine, co-owned by Benzino, which would publish a certain section in each magazine called The Record Report. In this section, the magazine's staff would rank hip-hop albums from 1 to 5 mics, with a 4.5 out of 5 being considered a superior album, and a 5 out of 5 being reserved for only the best of the best. To give you an idea on what a 5 out of 5 album is, there were only ever 45 albums to be awarded the perfect score, including Illmatic, The Blueprint, All Eyes on Me, Straight Outta Compton, and eventually 2001. That last one is important to the story, so remember it. So imagine, it's May of 2002, and Eminem would release what is considered by many as not only his best album, but one of the greatest rap albums to ever be released, The Eminem Show. Now I don't have to explain why this album was so good, because if you're watching this, you already know it. Reviews for the album were all around positive, but there was one review specifically which got to Eminem, and that was his review from The Source. When The Eminem Show was included in the record report, it did give the album props, however the final score was ultimately a 4 out of 5. Now it's important to explain that The Source's opinion held a lot of weight in the world of hip-hop. For example, when Illmatic by Nas was given the 5 out of 5, it helped launch Nas into becoming one of the greatest and most respected rappers to come from the streets of New York. Without this 5 out of 5, it's very believable that Nas may have never went to the heights that he did, even though he probably would have still blew up. So it goes without saying that Eminem wasn't happy about the rating, and he wasn't shy to talk about it. Eminem felt as if he would never get the 5 out of 5 solely because of Benzino, and that it had to do with the fact that he was a white rapper. He took some shots at Benzino in the source, but the thing that really took it a step further was Eminem refusing to speak to Benzino after a show in Puerto Rico. Benzino wanted to interview Eminem, who at that time was promoting the movie 8 Mile, but M denied the interview, most likely angering Benzino. Benzino told this story during a radio interview, which ended with a short freestyle diss to Eminem. And only a few months later, Benzino would release the first diss track from this entire feud titled Pull Your Skirt Up. And while it isn't the greatest flow from the perspective of a 2023 listener, it's still a pretty good diss track in the sense of what's said. Throughout the track, Benzino calls M a 2003 Vanilla Ice, says the source made Eminem in the first place, and even warned 50 not to take the wrong side. This track wouldn't be taken lightly by Eminem though, and only a month later would drop several diss tracks. One of these diss tracks would be The Sauce. The name The Sauce is a wordplay on the Source magazine name, and Eminem spends the entire 3.5-minute track going in on how Benzino used the Source to benefit himself and his groups. He also talks about how Benzino's actions when running the magazine were unethical, and gives several examples of what he means. One of the first lines in the song is the bar, "When the unsigned hype column in the Source was like our only source of light," which is a reference to another recurring article in the Source magazine called Unsigned Hype, which highlighted underground rappers who weren't signed to anyone. The article saw notable names including Biggie, DMX, Immortal Technique, and in March of 1998, just so happened to feature Eminem. This is what Benzino was referencing in Pull Your Skirt Up when he said the Source made Eminem. Eminem followed this bar by talking about how a 4 out of 5 mics used to actually mean something, and that it would mean you had an amazing album. However, now it was basically the lowest rating anyone would get, even stating that a 3 out of 5 mics meant that you were, quote, a piece of shit. And he even adds the line, "I done watched Dre get fucked on the Chronic, probably cause I was on it." And Eminem actually had a legitimate point, as through the early years of the Source, only universally acclaimed albums would receive higher ratings. But the magazine started giving poorer albums higher ratings, making the entire rating system inflate to the point where any rating besides a 5 out of 5 meant virtually nothing. The other issue was that there was obviously bias in the rating system. As Eminem stated, he saw Dre's album get a bad rating, despite the album being universally recognized as one of the most important albums of all time. Despite the obvious greatness that was 2001, the Source only gave the album 4.5 out of 5.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
Eminem states he believes that the album would have got a 5 out of 5 if he hadn't have been a featured artist. Now some of you guys might boil this down to Eminem just being butthurt that he never earned the 5 out of 5. But there's one thing that needs to be made perfectly clear. Going back to the bar prior to this, Eminem stated that to get a 4.5 out of 5, you had to be Biggie, Jigga, Nas, or Benzino. What he means here is that the fact Benzino was lobbying his own magazine to give his projects, such as his rap group Made Men, high scores. A perfect example is the Made Men's classic limited edition album, which despite only reaching number 61 on the charts, still received a 4.5 out of 5. This is just one example of Benzino using his own magazine, which was supposed to be the holy bible of hip-hop, to promote his own music. In no universe should the Made Men's album be ranked the same as 2001. Eminem spends the next couple of lines talking about how he understands he will never get the 5 out of 5 while Benzino works for the Source. And he even rhymes a word with a spitting noise.
You probably try to fuck us with Obi in 52. Fuck a relationship me through.
That doesn't really add anything to the diss, it's just really cool and I like it. There's a lot more in this track, but a lot of it boils down to Eminem saying that Benzino is using the Source to further his own agenda, such as trying to make his own son into a star since Benzino himself never blew up. He also takes several jabs at how they treated Dave Mays. The entire story of how Benzino treated Dave throughout their entire relationship truly does deserve a video of its own, but let's just say that Benzino bullied his way into being a co-owner of the magazine. Eminem finishes the track by saying he would have never said anything had Benzino kept his mouth shut, but since he didn't, he's going to get the track played everywhere. The final bar of the entire track takes one final shot at the idea that Eminem owed Benzino, and instead suggests that Benzino now owes Eminem for giving him some free publicity. And in a sense, he's right, because we're talking about him in 2023, and even though it probably isn't for what he hoped it would be for, there's no such thing as bad publicity, right? The entire track, in my opinion, is one of Eminem's best verses he's ever spit. The way he flows over the beat perfectly while still communicating his exact point is something to be praised. And while the track was, in a way, overshadowed by the simultaneously released diss track Nailin' the Coffin, the sauce is still an incredible look into how well Eminem understood the bias of the source. But my favorite part of this entire story is that later, the 2001 album from Dr. Dre was re-rated and got the 4.5 out of 5 rating bumped up to a 5 out of 5. Even though Dre finally received the proper score, Eminem has never had an album re-rated, at least to a perfect score. Still, looking back on it, I think it's safe to say that Eminem doesn't need it. I want to give one more thank you to Drew for letting me be a part of this video, and I feel lucky to be able to talk about Eminem disses with another hardcore Eminem fan. I didn't talk about every aspect of the Benzino beef because I'm sure Drew is going to take it from there, so yeah. Anyways, thank you for listening, and remember, Kobe sucks.
Oh my god, guys, why didn't you tell me there was a group of emo guardians on social media declaring what's emo or not and that I didn't make the cut? Emo, 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 emo.
You are a sad, strange little man.
If I were to go through every diss in Killshot, we would be here for days. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do.
3 days later.
Nah, but seriously, this was easily one of M's best diss tracks. His flows are insane, the wordplay, and most importantly, the way he makes fun of Machine Gun Kelly is too fucking funny. When M says,
"They'll be putting your name next to time next to Benzino,"
he wasn't kidding. M also starts this song perfectly, pointing out how MGK would diss him on one line and compliment him on the next in Rap Devil. Is it a death threat or a love letter? Making fun of someone for being old when they're doing significantly better than you is not the diss MGK thought it was. Eminem tells him that.
"Let's see who can outpay who with your corny lines. When you're old, out Kelly, ooh, but I'm 45 and I'm still out telling you. By 29, I had 3 albums that are blue."
He's a fucking molehill, and Eminem makes a mountain out of him.
"Hold still, like I put the chrome barrel to my bone marrow. Gonna beat you in a bow and arrow."
Absolutely insane. MGK clearly didn't proofread his diss because M calls him out for saying his last 4 albums sucked when he should be making another recovery, but that was 3 albums ago.
You stupid.
Yes.
He literally calls him broke in the next line. Like, what the fuck? He compares him to Lil Tay.
Poor angel.
He says the only list he's making are alongside Iggy Azalea and Taylor Swift, and he says he had to give him a career to destroy it. I'm fucking dead. The best part of this song is coming up, so let's just play it.
"Had enough of this tatted up mumble rapper. How the fuck can him and I battle? They'll have to fuck him in my flannel. I'll give him my sandals, cause he knows long as I'm shady, he's gonna have to live in my shadow."
All these years later, that line still gives me chills, like it was the first time I heard it. His flow toward the end is incredible with the lines,
"Who else wanted counts, button nails, button nails, fucking nails, in these coffins and soffits, not nails."
I mean, it's insane the damage this man does, and as we've seen, MGK did not recover well. Bro is in denial for mad long. He switched genres and made slightly better music. It's still trash though. This song was so easily deserving of the top 3, but we still got 2 to go.
Squad, put him in a coffin.
Nailin' the Coffin is the best and funniest diss track aimed at Benzino. Let it be known Benzino was only 37 when this song was released, yet M claims nobody wants to hear their grandfather rap. You can't make that shit up. To be fair though, I'm only 23 and I call my 30-year-old cousins old, so I get it. He says if you tried to throw him over a balcony like he claims, he'll throw his back out and kill them both. Benzino's always took shots at Eminem for being white, but Eminem points out that Benzino himself is half white. I believe that's called irony. I think it's so funny when he says,
"Slap my mom, slap the fuck out of her, but she can't sue you. She wouldn't get a buck out of you because you broke his clock, you suck, you're a fucking joke."
That is fucking hilarious. Although M ends this in the best way he can, M points out that for all Benzino's posturing about race, his magazine was actually owned by Dave Mays, a white Harvard graduate. The comedy really writes itself. This is an amazing song, a fantastic diss track, but we still have 1 more to go. In June 2009, Mariah Carey released her song Obsessed, which was the lead single off her upcoming album. The song was a response to Bagpipes of Baghdad off Relapse, where M threw shots at her and her then husband Nick Cannon. This probably is the only good Eminem diss track, But unfortunately for Mariah, this led to what I consider Eminem's best diss track, The Warning. Released about a month later, The Warning has Eminem exposing basically every truth about his relationship with Mariah in which she had been denying. He claims he had enough dirt on her to murder her. Old phone calls, pictures, text, emails, more than enough proving Mariah is lying about their relationship. Eminem tells Nick Cannon that if he's gonna try to ruin his career, he should get one himself first. In 8 Mile fashion, he throws some embarrassing stuff into the song to basically tell Mariah, you can't use this against me. But the best part of the song, by far, has to be when M plays voicemails from Mariah Carey, really emphasizing the title of this track. I honestly don't know how M didn't get sued. This is easily the best Eminem diss track, in my opinion. It goes so fucking hard. Pretty cool. Pretty cool, right? It's pretty cool. It's 4 LPs. It has a side H. Please ignore my hair. I haven't done it today. I've been editing this video all fucking morning. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah, this isn't April Fool's. It's just coincidentally I finished on this day. And for those of you who believe me when I told you January, if not February, you should know not to trust me by now. You know that I make up dates and I don't stick to them. This was a fun video to do that I wanted to do for a while, and I want to give the biggest thank you to Kobe Sucks. I found Kobe through his Eminem Iceberg, which is so detailed and so amazing. The dude just has a talent for that kind of video. He makes amazing content, and I highly suggest you check him out. I'm going to try and upload some videos soon. I've already started working on my next script. I'm going to take a small break from music videos. I know, that's usually what I do, but I have a lot I want to talk about that isn't music related. And don't take that as I'm never making a music video again. That's not true. There's just other things I want to talk about. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Mwah! Bye.